Wilkins, and I'm a fourth grade teacher on Fort Berthold Reservation in North Dakota. And what you're seeing and what you have seen and will see is my classroom. I've been doing this for many years now, and I wanted to share with you, whether you be a parent, a teacher, homeschooling parent, somebody who's homeschooling, alternative ed, anything that you deem necessary to have your child to learn better. And what you see here has been the compilation of many years' thought and process of thinking the importance of learning. What you saw outside on my door is what I call the stairs of success. The very first thing before learning can take place is the need for focus, and that is the paying attention for a short amount of time. And after that comes concentration for a longer period of time, and after that, learning is possible. The definition for learning is remember what you've been taught, going from short-term memory to long-term memory. And how is that accomplished? It's accomplished by focus and concentration. And with that, I believe that my room has created a learning environment for over the period of years that I've been teaching, that I get the maximum amount of learning with the time that I have. Now, what I'd like for you to see in this classroom is everything has an environment. Your bathroom has an environment. Your car has an environment. Your living room has an environment. Every space that is lived in has an environment. Why not a learning environment? And this is what I came to many years ago, to create a learning environment that once the child steps in, even before he steps in, coming into the classroom, everything is geared for one thing, and that is that when they walk in that room, there's something for them to learn. Whether it's the routine of in the morning what we do, there's 4 to 5 things we do every morning. Once they step through that door, they're thinking about learning. And that's the biggest thing as a teacher or a parent that you can provide, is an environment that is conducive to learning. If this is done right, you get the maximum amount of learning and the use of the thinking ability to use knowledge to solve problems, the understanding, solve more complex, harder problems, and eventually, hopefully, success. And it will happen if they've developed a work ethic from all the work that you've given them in the environment that you've created as a teacher or a parent or a homeschooler or any kind of teacher. One of the ways I teach focus and concentration is by having them do activities that actually teaches it and reinforces it with repetition. And one of these means is by dot to dot. And we do dot to dot. I've been doing this for years. And we start out with a 163 dot to dot called the race car. And we work up every 100 dots to the point where this young lady here is at 400. This is a 412 dot to dot. This young man right here is at 635 dot to dot. This person right here just completed a 1119 dot to dot. And by the way, they do this with a pen. They don't do it with a pencil. So any mistakes they have, they can't go back and white out or make, so they don't make mistakes. This has turned out to be a really enjoyable and focused, concentrating teaching activity. The highest one, of course, is 1,490 dot to dot, the dog sled expedition. And this is Benjamin's, and he's working very hard on it, and he can get it between 100 to 200 dots a day. And we do this about 3 times a week. The beginning, we did it 5 days a week, and the kids enjoyed it once they understood they couldn't make mistakes. And on the dot to dot, everything over 1 inch has to be drawn with a ruler. It can't be drawn hand by hand, up to 1 inch. So it teaches measurements, and they can use the use of a ruler too, which many of them have got very proficient at. The other aspect of focus and concentration is called mandalas. I've been doing this for years and years, and in math, everything has a pattern. There's patterns of numbers, skip counting. Just the number sense has a tremendous amount of pattern work. And so what we do, this is a simple one right here. This is a mandala, and they have to think their way through the problem of using pattern. Everything is a pattern. The colors are patterns. She did pink, orange, pink, orange, pink, orange. everything has to be a pattern. So it's not coloring for the sake of coloring, crayon coloring. This is done with a colored pencil, and it's done with a lot of pressure. And you might look at this and say, whoa, look at all those colors. But orange, 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 pink, 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 pink. Everything has a pattern. And these take a long time. We work 3 to 4 times a week, about 10 to 15 minutes a day on mandalas. So again, teaching focus and concentration. I have activities for them, and they do it, of course, in their station. Another way is graphing. They know X, Y axis like the back of their hand. They can do, this is what they drew off of an X, Y axis grid sheet that gave them directions. And here's a little bit more difficult one. This is the one that most of the kids run. I started this at the semester, at the beginning of the second semester. And they enjoy it, and it teaches focus and concentration. In this classroom, there's a sign in the back of which is on going to be one of my packets that I sell. It's a big sign that says repetition equals retention. Common sense says the more you do something, the better you're going to get, the more skilled you're going to get doing it. Whether it's mastering 8 plus 5, 5 plus 8, 8 plus 5, 5 plus 8 over and over again until they come to know automatic 13. You ask a student what's 2 plus 2, they'll answer 4 without hesitation. 5 times 5, 25 without hesitation. How do you get them to do 7 times 9 without hesitation? How do you get them to do 8 plus 5 without hesitation? This is in the program I'm selling on internet, and you can go to it. At the end of the program, I'll tell you where to go to it, and it's called Step-by-Step Mastery Program of Addition and Step-by-Step Mastery Program of Multiplication. It's a 10-step program that's evolved over the years that allows the student the maximum chance to master their math facts, and that's very, very important. One of the really continued uses of teaching focus and concentration is with a stopwatch. I have a clock at the back. I'll show you. Was that seen up there? They can see that? Okay. One of the basic ways of teaching focus and concentration throughout the year and keeping it fresh and the repetition equals retention is through the use of the stopwatch and the clock in the back that the children see almost on every activity. If I say there's 15-minute activity, and at the end of that time we'll play a dart game of rapid fire, you talk about focus and concentration, and if the activity is not done, they don't get to play in that activity. You'll see a tremendous amount of focus and concentration throughout the year, just about on every activity that we do. In 1971-72, I went to a seminar in the Bay Area, and I went to get units, because in every 3 units you get a step up, or every 15 units. So I was going for the, that's screwed up. Okay, ready? Mm-hmm. All right. In 1971, I went to a seminar in the Bay Area where I was teaching in Northern California, which was about 2 hours from the Bay Area up in the Cascade Mountain Range. And I didn't even know exactly what I was doing, other than I was going to go get 3 units for the weekend's worth of work. And the man who was there changed my life, changed my philosophy, changed my teaching career, because as he came out onto the stage, he waited for 300 people to get quiet by standing there with his arms folded for approximately 10 minutes. At the end of that time, he said, when he had everybody's attention, he said, "You can lead a horse to water, but you'll never make him drink. He's too strong for you, you'll never do it. You can have all the knowledge in the world about best teaching practices, about techniques, methods. You can have it all up here and learned, and be so anxious to teach it to the students, but if they don't want to learn it, they're not going to. They're not going to learn anything from you unless they want to." He went back to, how do you make that horse drink? And nobody had an answer for him. Out of those 300 people, nobody had an answer, and his answer was a question: why didn't you salt the oats? Why didn't you create a thirst for that horse to want to drink? And for the next 2 days, I saw short-term, mid-term, long-term rewards introduced in so many different ways and methods and techniques and strategies. It changed my whole life, teaching life, about how to prompt, motivate the students to learn. And since that time, I have become a salter of oats. And this classroom is indicative of that. Everything in this classroom is meant to salt the oats, to create a thirst, to have knowledge surrounding them that I want them to have. And at any given time, I can, between transitions, between activities, I can go, let's look at the place value over there. What's the 3 green numbers there? And the first one who answers it gets 3 tallies, go. And somebody will go, that's the thousands place value. Now I guess you've got 3 tallies. And the tallies are how I pay them, and you'll see that down the road on my day. It's called a day keeper, and every student is rewarded activity by activity throughout the day. At the end of the day, they total up the tallies and they get paid in chips, poker chips, white, blue, green, and black. And that's another video which I'll show you later and tell you about later. How I salt the oats is learning games. We have about 12 to 15 games that are all learning games. Most of them have to do with math. That teaches fractions, decimals, percentages, equations, and they're all games that the students want to play. And to say the students aren't competitive, that's not true. My class is as competitive as the next class, and those kids want to win. And it creates an environment in which learning is facilitated because they will work to be able to play. You give me 15 minutes worth of focused, concentrated effort of learning, and I'll give you 5 minutes of play. No problem. There's a trade-off. And in this classroom, there's games galore, and they can only play the games if the work is done in a quality type manner and has to be completed. The use of posters in this classroom and in any classroom should be used at least every week. They're not up on the board for decoration. Example, this is the rules of making the endings, the suffixes of words. We use this three to four times a week. Angles, geometry, we call it Geo 101, place value, that's used weekly. These things around, that you see around the classroom are used all the time as far as repetition and reinforcement of learning. The key math words, the place value, again, this is your 2 to 10s of mastering 2 to 10s. We use that continually. And anything that you put up in your classroom should be used a lot for reinforcement of the basic things that you want those students to learn. The terrific 12 up there, that's as much for me as the children to learn those 12 concepts, or actually 15 concepts of math. From everything in this classroom, from your classroom learning environment, should be promote learning at all times. That when they look up, that they're seeing the acronyms, they're seeing the things they need to know, the basics they need to know that of knowledge. One thing I've done over the last 3 weeks is divide the class into learning teams. I'd never done that before. All these things I'm going to put into the next video as for classroom management techniques. And if you ask any principal that I've ever taught at, do I have discipline problems? The answer is going to be no. It's because the students have bought into the philosophy of the class, which is we work hard, we play hard. And if they work hard and do quality work, they're able to play. There's times during the day that this class will be 15 minutes up to 30 minutes without a word being spoken except to come up and ask me a question or sharpen a pencil. Because I'll give them a set amount of time, they have to have so much work done, give them the goal, the objective, and about 90% of the time, most of them attain it. The homework. Homework is a really important thing. Monday through Thursday night, 30 minutes a night, 15 minutes math, 15 minutes reading, and I've got about a little over an 80% return rate on homework signed by a parent, and it does work. The holding out of something that they want they can't have until I get what I want from them, has worked for many, many, many years. And if you ask my students what their one job is, they'll tell you to learn. That's why they're here, to learn. And that's why this whole thing was created for them, so when they come through the door, they know that I'm here for them for one reason, and they're here for one reason, and that's to learn. And with that, I bid you adieu, and I will be making at least one more on classroom management techniques, and if I hear from anybody, I might make a couple more on the games that we use and how you can make your own games up. You don't have to copy me. Do what I do in your own way, your character, your personality. You find what fits you. You don't have to copy me. This is me. If what I do, if you can see value in it and you want to do it, you will reap so much more than the little that you've sown in time and money. And that is my concluding statement to you. Do well and do what's right.